Hello, my name is Caitlin Hughes, and today I'm going to be talking to you about early intervention. What is early intervention? It is simply providing services or schooling to children who have been labeled with a disability or exceptionality, and that's according to Jay Thomas. So, the importance of early intervention is that the children who have been labeled as such, they are coming in and they were able to be around peers their age, so that's important for their development as well as getting these services early, and that's very important to them as well in the long run. Another reason that it's very important and it is again because of the services, and the earlier that they are getting these services, the earlier it's going to benefit them because they are going to be able to build on these and they might not need as many by the time they go to kindergarten. So getting them in early is very important. Some of the benefits to early intervention are the social aspect of it. So, peer models in a general education classroom, especially, can be a really great thing for a child with a disability. A lot of times we're seeing children who are nonverbal or they just have lower verbal and vocabulary. So, seeing those peer models talk more and give them more words is really beneficial, but they are also benefiting each other because the child with a disability may not have as many words as this child, but they are able to count higher. And so they're counting higher, whereas this child over here is not counting as much. So they are watching them count and they're benefiting each other and building on each other's skills. So it's a great thing to have that social interaction in early intervention. Another benefit to early intervention is the mentioned before is those services that that child is going to get in early intervention. So the earlier that they can get those services in, so those services could be speech therapy or occupational therapy, physical therapy, developmental therapy. They're going to benefit from those. They're going to come in and they're going to receive those services early and they are going to build on those skills. And so by the time, if we're looking at a preschool setting, by the time that they go to kindergarten, they might not need as many of those services to begin with. So, another benefit to early intervention is that we might be able to catch some of these things early enough that they might not need those services anymore. Um, we could also see that maybe if a doctor or pediatrician has labeled this child as like a level 3 and we get them in school and or this early intervention is really working for them and we bring them and they're really just labeled as a level 1 rather than the 3 that we originally thought because of the doctor. And so by the time they go to kindergarten, they're getting skills and building on those skills more for a level 1 than they are a level 3. So we want to be able to explain that and be able to catch that if it is mislabeled. So, some of the benefits that families can receive through early intervention are definitely resources and just extra help in general with their child with exceptionalities. It's very hard to be a parent of a child with exceptionalities. And so, bringing them into a school setting and getting that team, having the IEP, and seeing those goals for your child, they're going to get that extra help and they're going to have these resources provided to them. And so the family is going to benefit from that because they are having other people advocate for their child. They're having other people teach them how to help with their child. So, another benefit to the family, according to the First Words Project and Florida State University, is that they're going to have better communication with their child because, as mentioned above, they might not have as many words or they might even be nonverbal. And so, getting them into school and early intervention, into the speech therapy, and seeing these peer models, we're going to see more communication out of this child and they're going to build relationships better with their families. So that's really a big benefit to these children, and we're seeing more and more words coming out of this child. And we see it all the time where children come in and the parent says, they weren't talking at all before school, and now they're talking. We're able to have a conversation, and we're having back and forth sentences. So we see that a lot with the peer model in early intervention. It's very important to collaborate with families in early intervention because the family and the parents know that child the best. They've been with them since birth. They are with them a lot longer than we are during the day and the weekends. They know what that child needs as far as, their basic needs, but they also knew what works for them and what doesn't work for them, which is very important because we can work together and say, hey, we tried this and this didn't work. What have you seen that works for them and what can we do to help them? So, that is a huge thing. You want to make sure that you know this child at home and at school because a lot of times it's a very different child in both settings. So we want to work with that family and see what we can do to help this child the best way we can. According to S. Raber and D. Childress, um, collaborating with families also gives us an opportunity to teach that parent. So sometimes the parent might not know how to work with their child with a disability. They might not know what that child needs. So when we're looking at IEPs, we're providing these goals and we're giving a parent a black and white, here is what we're working on, here's what you can do at home, and that way that parent knows exactly what to do, and if they need extra help, they can just say, "I don't understand how to do this." We can step by step explain that to them, and so that way this child is doing these things at home consistently and at school consistently, and we're just building on those skills more and more. So teaching these parents how to work with their children with exceptionalities is very important to early intervention. So some of the challenges that we might see with early intervention is false labeling. This might be because we are labeled too early. So a lot of times we need to just wait and we need to assess this child. Can you continue to monitor this child and make sure that we are not rushing to label because that could really be disadvantage to that child. If we are mislabeling them, they could provide services that they might not need, or they could end up needing more services and we're not providing them. So just waiting and watching this child and really finding exactly what their label is so that we can provide the best services for them and their family. Another challenge that we see a lot is families not on board with what we are telling them. So being a child with an exceptionality is very difficult, and so parents might not want to hear it at first, and they might be a little upset about it. So just trying to talk with that family and say, we're not trying to hurt you. We're not trying to tell you that this is a bad thing. All we're trying to do is help your child and building on that relationship with the family and just showing them, like, here's what these services do and this is why we're doing it. And just really trying to explain exactly what we're doing for them can really help build that communication and hopefully encourage that parent to change their mind. And we never want to push the parents, but when we're looking at early intervention, this is one of our challenges is that families just simply don't want these interventions, and that's okay. We just have to encourage and do our best to stay positive. So, well, thank you very much for listening and your time. This has been early intervention, and I hope that you have learned something today. And thank you.